Good morning, everyone. Welcome to A Squared B Creative World online training. Today I'll be treating the mesh turban. So I have my needle, I have my tape rule, my scissors, I have my mesh fabric and OBB. I'm going to be using this OBB to line this fabric. Most times some clients don't want their hair to show, so you have to line it with another fabric. But if your client wants you to use the net like that, you can use only net, but I'm going to use net and OBB fabric. If you want to line a turban, this net is stretchy. You have to make sure the material you are using to line it too is stretchy. So if you are not going to be using OBB to line your own, you must make sure that the material that you are using to line your own, you can use lycra or any other fabric, but the material must be stretchy. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to be taking how to make a round band turban. So the first thing I'll do is I will face my OBB down. This is the shiny part. I will face the net down on the shiny part, and then I will pin them together all through. I'll pin them down. So after pinning it down, this is what I have. So the measurement for this my band is, the measurement for my band is 24 inches by 4 inches. So when I fold it, it will be 2 inches. You can see 24 inches by 4 inches. But for the body of my cap, the measurement I have here is 24 inches also, because this look at it, I have 24 inches also, and the wideness of the cap is 13 inches. So I cut out the same thing for the inner, that is the OBB. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to notch the middle. I'm going to notch the middle of the two fabrics. Then I'm going to place my net down. After placing my net down, I'm going to notch the middle of my OBB of my band. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reduce this by half an inch on each side, so that I can have space to line it. I'm going to reduce it by half an inch from here, since it is almost the same measurement with the body of the cap. I don't want it to be the same measurement with the body of the cap. Don't want it to be the same measurement, so that it will be easy for me to line it. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine. I'll place this like this, notched part on notched part, notched part on notched part. I'll place it together. I'll make sure this place, look at what I'm saying, I'll make sure that this band doesn't get to the edge here. I'll make sure that the band doesn't get to the edge, to the last edge of the fabric here. I'll make sure the body of the cap is over the band. Look at what I'm saying. Can you see? See this space here. See this space here. So after doing that, what I will do now is I'm going to place my OBB fabric, also the notched part. I'm going to place it like this. I'll make sure that the shiny side is facing me, so that when I turn it, the shiny side will be at the back of this turban like this, to be shining from inside. So I'll take it to my sewing machine now. Body of the cap, the net first, the band too, and then the OBB shiny part facing me. I will make sure that I have all the notched center are on this, they are aligning. So what I'll do next now is I'm going to sew this from here to here. I'll sew it, I will sew it round. So I will leave a little space, maybe at this side or at the back, for me to turn it inside out. Let me go and do that and get back to you. So I've sewn my fabric. I've sewn it round, and then I left a space here for me to turn it. You can see, look at what I'm saying about the band. You can see that the band is not up to this edge, and it's not also up to this edge. So my machine will not be climbing the band. So when I turn it inside out, it won't hold, the sewing won't hold the band. You will understand me better. But before I turn it, let me trim out the excess. Trimming out the excess is very important so that your work will not look bulky. And then you make sure you trim this front too, so your work will not look bulky. It won't be neat if you don't trim it. So I'm going to turn it inside out. After turning it inside out, this is what I get. I'll make sure I remove all the pins that I used to hold it. Then I'll sew this place that I used to turn it. I'm going to push it in like this. I'll take my sewing machine, I'll put it on it, and then I'll fold into two like this. I will measure the edge circumference I want to use. The edge circumference I'm using for this is 10.5 because this net is somehow stretchy. So I'm going to use 10.5 for my edge circumference. From my edge circumference here, I will sew it down. From 10.5 here, I'll sew it down here. After sewing it down, then I can now move to gathering the turban. So I've sewn my turban from the 10.5 here. You can see I bent my hand and then I sew to this point, to this point. So at this point, I'm going to use my shoemaker thread to gather it. So what I'm going to do next now is from this point, after the band, I'll start my gathering. So I'll just gather this and then I'll set it aside for the designs on the top of the mesh material. When I get here, I'll just go the four corner. So I'm going to tie it. I'll tie this. Then I'm going to use my lighter to burn it. After doing that, my turban is ready. Let me place on my mannequin and show you the beauty. So here is it. So any other thing that wants to go on top of this can then go. This is how to make the round band turban using mesh fabric. Thank you for watching. We'll move on to the ruffled part and the double tray part now. Good afternoon, everyone. For the double tray design, so I've cut out my fabric. This first one is, when I open it, the measurement for this first one is 12 inches by 15 inches. 12 by 15. This is the small one. For this big one, I have 18 inches. When I open it, let me open it up. 18 inches by 17 inches. 18 by 17, like that. So what I'll do is I'll fold this into 2 and then into 4. the 17 by 18. I'll do it like this, and then I'm going to curve it on this part of the turban. I'm going to curve it on this part. See, this is the open side and this is the closed side, so I'm going to curve it on the closed side. I will do the same thing to the small one. So after doing this, I will just take it to my sewing machine. I will sew it round. After sewing it round, I will leave space that I will use to turn it inside out. So I've sewn the net. I've sewn it round like this, but I left a little space here for me to use it to turn it inside out. So I'm going to trim it so it's not going to be too bulky. I'm going to trim it. I'm going to turn it inside out. Then I'm going to sew on this place, the opening I used to turn it. I'm going to sew there. So I've done the same thing for the big one. I've turned it inside out, and then I've sewn the part where I used to turn it inside out. So the next thing now is for me to gather. I'm going to gather this straight line. I will gather this straight line. I will gather this other straight line too. I will use a matching color of needle and thread to gather it on a straight line. So I'm going to gather this now on the straight line. I'm gathering it on the straight line. So after gathering it on the straight line, this edge here, I'm going to join it together by tacking it like this. I've tacked it together. I've tacked it together. So after tacking this together, I've done the same thing. I've gathered this one and I've tacked it together for the big one too. So after doing that, then I'm going to place the small one. I'm going to place it on the big one. Then I'm going to tack it together too. I'm going to tack the small and the big together. After making sure that I've held the two together, then I'm going to take my turban. This is my turban that we made the other time. I'm going to target the middle of my turban. This is the middle. So I'm going to tack this to the middle of my turban. I'll show you now. Look at this is the midpoint. This is the midpoint. So look at it right here. I'm going to tack it down after the band. So here's what I get. You can see. I'm going to be tacking this down. I have to patiently do that, so I don't want to waste too much data. I'm going to do that off camera later. So what I want to talk about now is embellishment. So for now, I have different types of embellishment here. I'm just going to use whichever one I want to use, I'll just use my gum to hold it down. If I want to use this one, I'll just use my gum to hold it down. And if I'm not using that one, if I want to use this one, I will just use my gum to hold it down. And if I want to use them, if I want to put stone on it, I will send a picture of the gum I used to stone my caps. I will just put the gum and wait for it to dry. Then I will just apply the stones on it. Thank you for watching.